One thing that the No Jumper Rico exposed, besides the fact that the feds are watching these podcasts, is that Big U, who has spent the last 20 years working on redefining his public image, never really changed. According to the feds, Big U is still the ruthless gang leader he was before he was released from prison in 2004, with his recent arrest revealing that he was still heavily involved in the streets, with it being alleged that he might have been behind the death of a young football player and rapper that was signed to his very own label. Something else the indictment is revealing is that Big U might have also been involved in the deaths of some other prominent rappers, with people now claiming Big U might have been in some way associated with the deaths of Nipsey Hussle and Pnb Rock. Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos every other day exposing the truth. In today's episode, we will be talking about the alleged victims of Big U. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe if you're not, like, comment, and share this video so we can get this video seen by everyone who needs to see it. Also, please make sure to subscribe to my second channel, Truth Network, as I've been dropping new content over there. I want to thank you all. Now, let's get right into it. For those who don't know, Eugene Big U Henley is believed to be a leading figure in the Rolling 60s Crip gang. The Rolling 60 Crips is an LA criminal street gang that was formed in the 1970s. They got their name from the numbered streets between Slauson and Florence Avenue. It is believed the gang contains roughly 1,600 active members, making it one of the biggest gangs in the city. The members usually identify themselves by wearing Seattle Mariners or the Chicago White Sox logo. It is speculated that Big U is not only a member, but he could be a leading member of the gang, although it's also reported that the gang doesn't really have a set leader. According to the streets, Big U has been a feared member for several decades. At one point, his reputation in the streets was of a ruthless drug dealer who was known for robbing anyone who wasn't in his crew and using violence to do so. In the 90s, Big U had already earned himself his boss-like reputation. He had climbed in the ranks of the Rolling 60s and was known to get money at any means necessary. While things were going good for him for a short while, eventually, things took a turn for the worse, when in 1991, he had come up with a plan to rob a drug dealer he was set to buy 33 keys from. The only problem was that the drug dealer he was planning on robbing wasn't just an ordinary drug dealer, he was actually an undercover DEA officer who had been investigating Big U for his gang affiliations in drug distribution. This led to the arrest of Big U, where he would eventually be sentenced to 20 years in prison. He served 13 years and ended up being released in 2004. Unlike most criminals sent to prison, it appeared that prison did good for Big U, and it might have helped rehabilitate him. When he was released, he claimed to be a new man and wanted to be seen as a community leader instead of a criminal gang leader. After being freed, he founded a non-profit called Developing Options that aimed to provide gang intervention and provide sports programs for underprivileged children in LA. This was the beginning of his new persona. He wanted to be seen as a community activist who wanted to help the kids and keep them from going down the same path as him. He also got into the music industry, using his former gang ties to find upcoming talent he can manage in the music business. He would eventually start his own record label called Unseek Music, even at one point playing the role of Nipsey Hussle's manager. For a while, this rebrand seemed to work for Big U, and by 2018, even the government was behind his efforts. In 2018, Big U and his Developing Options organization was recruited for the GRID program, which, for those that don't know, is the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program, a program set up by the mayor of the city to help reduce crime and prevent young kids from going down the road of the gang lifestyle. The GRID organization felt that Big U was the perfect fit for the job, a man who claimed to have been rehabilitated that was from one of the most violent and notorious gangs in LA. This was massive for Big U, as it wasn't just a good look for his new reputation, but it came with a massive payday. From 2018 to 2023, the city of LA gave $2.3 million to Big U to fund his Developing Option program. Big U had successfully achieved this rebrand, changing his public reputation from one of a gang leader to a community hero. His story was inspirational, detailing the story of a man who was deep in the criminal street life, going to prison, and then changing his life around for the better. Well, at least that's what he had convinced the world. Eventually, the truth about Big U was revealed, and that persona he had built was exposed. In 2020, the feds began an investigation into the Rolling 60s Crip. While doing this investigation, they eventually turned their focus on Big U. They started to believe that Big U could possibly be behind the murder of a 21-year-old man named Rashawn Williams. Rashawn was actually signed to Big U's record label called Unseek Music. According to the feds, Big U signed Rashawn and was helping him develop his music. Big U allowed Rashawn to record at his recording studio. He also paid for his travel costs, flying him out to Las Vegas in 2021 to record new music. The label also reportedly paid for his Airbnb accommodations. The arrangement was that Williams would spend a week in the city, dedicating his time to the studio. It was during one of these trips to the studio that the issues between Big U and Rashawn started, as allegedly, Rashawn didn't show up to the studio session Big U had set up for him. Big U then set up another studio session on a different day, and Rashawn ended up showing up late, angering Big U. This is when Big U confronted Rashawn about his lack of professionalism, with Rashawn explaining it off, which eventually led to Big U discovering a diss song made by Rashawn aimed at Big U. This was the last straw for Big U, and according to the feds, this is when Big U decided Rashawn needed to be taught a lesson. The feds claim Big U then kidnapped Rashawn, ended him, and then dumped his body in a ditch. Big U is then seen on camera returning back to the studio drenched in sweat, or maybe water. He also forced his staff to delete all the footage from that night. The next day, Rashawn's body was discovered. This is what led the feds to investigate Big U and what led to the indictment that was revealed at the end of March. Eventually, Big U turned himself in and denied all the allegations made against him. Due to this indictment, some of Big U's darkest secrets have been revealed, with one of the most disturbing secrets was that he was possibly involved in the death of Nipsey Hussle. Like I said earlier in this video, Nipsey Hussle and Big U's relationship goes back to the beginning of Nipsey's career. Big U was introduced to Nipsey, who just so happened to be a member of the Rolling 60 Crips and a talented rapper. Big U decided to manage him, and things were good for a bit, with Big U using his street and gang ties to help Nipsey's career. At some point during their relationship, Nipsey didn't want to continue working with Big U, and this is when he began distancing himself from Big U. Big U didn't appreciate that at all, and this led to the start of their tension. Eventually, Nip made a diss song about Big U, which made him extremely angry. This led to Big U running up on Nipsey, trying to give him a DP. For those who don't know what a DP is gang code for a gang discipline. Essentially, Big U wanted Nipsey to fight one of his people for the diss track. This fight didn't take place though, but allegedly, a physical altercation between Big U and Nipsey did eventually happen. According to some online reports, Nipsey's baby mother was actually the niece of Big U. At a certain point, Nipsey had an issue with his baby mother and confronted her about having their children around another man. It was alleged that Nipsey not only put hands on his baby mother's new man, but also on her as well. This was eventually told to Big U, and he again got really upset at Nipsey. He made his way to Nip once again, and this time, he allegedly gave him a brutal beatdown that was only stopped when Black Sam, Nip's brother, came out and let off shots in the air to break it up. Even after this, it was reported that Big U and Nipsey's relationship was decent, but behind the scenes, it was rumored things were still not in the best of terms. This eventually led up to the day Nipsey was killed. On March 31st, 2019, Nipsey was hanging out in front of his Marathon store in LA. He was surrounded by his crew and supporters. It was alleged that Nipsey had an issue with a man named Eric Holder earlier in the day, who Nip allegedly outed for being a snitch in front of everyone. Eric Holder, embarrassed by being called out, became outraged. He left only to return back to the scene where he unloaded at Nip, striking him 10 times. He was unable to escape unharmed. Just like that, Nipsey was killed by a member of his own gang at that, in front of his crew and many of his supporters. Everyone was shocked, and Eric Holder was quickly apprehended for the crime. In the beginning, it was pretty much an open and shut case. Eric Holder was embarrassed about what Nip said, so much so, he felt like taking him out was the only solution. But the story eventually started to change, as Loose Cannon, a former Big U associate, made some shocking allegations on the No Jumper podcast. Loose Cannon, just like Big U and Nipsey Hussle, was a member of the Rolling 60s Crips. According to Loose, he was one of Big U's main enforcers who on his command would extort, rob, and even harm people. After Loose Cannon had a falling out with Big U, he had linked up with Wack 100, a rival of Big U. Wack 100 wanted to bring Big U down and decided to start to work with his enemies. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Wack brought Luce to No Jumper, where Luce began snitching on Big U on the podcast, a podcast that was recited in the No Jumper Rico. During this podcast, Luce implied that Big U could have something to do with the death of Nipsey, claiming that Big U had called them a few hours before Nipsey's death and told him he heard Nipsey was dead. Luce, who was good friends with Nipsey, called them to check on him, but when Nip answered the phone, he confirmed to Luce that he was still alive. Luce then figured Big U had gotten some bad information until he was called by Nipsey's people, who told him Nip had actually died. Luce revealed all of this on No Jumper, insinuating that Big U was the one who set up Nipsey Hussle, sending Eric Holder to get the job done.
We were doing a TV show like a while back, right? And I'm on a phone. He FaceTimed me. So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got. I'm like, sick. So I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey. I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey
like,
answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone. And I was like, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that.
Did you tell him the call you just got? You didn't even mention it.
I didn't mention it. And that's what fucked, because my cousin is Nipsey baby mom. You get what I'm saying? So it was like, I could have probably stopped it. I was listening. So after I talked to Nipsey, and I was like, yeah, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that. I'll see you later or whatever. So I hung the phone. I thought that you gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just Nipsey. And so I'm like,
wait. You get a call from Big U telling you Nipsey just got.
Yeah.
You hadn't called Nip. Nip answered the phone.
Yep, and
you
we
like
were just talking regular. So it's like at the end of the day, I didn't even think about it because
you don't even warn him that you got that call from dude.
No, because their relationship was so. It'd be like hot one minute, it'd be cold the next minute, and it'd be lukewarm. Like you
and
just
30 minutes after you get out the phone with Nip,
I got it.
So he hit you a little too early.
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early. But the homies know. So it's like, it's not like I'm saying something that they don't know. You can say so.
When this information started spreading online, Big U instantly denied it, saying that it was all lies and that he had nothing to do with the death of Nipsey Hussle, claiming that Loose Cannon was just making things up to get at him and Wack 100 was behind it. Big U also shut down rumors that he had an affiliation with Eric Holder, even though they were a part of the same gang. The only problem with this is, there is evidence that suggests this isn't true, indicating a possible connection between the two. People also pointed at the fact that a live stream of Big U was circulating online that took place after the death of Nipsey. In the video, Big U seems to burst out laughing the moment he realizes someone wrote in the live chat, "Justice for Nip." Big U and his crew all began laughing almost in a mocking manner during the live stream.
Justice for Nip.
Many people saw this and felt that it was proof that Big U at least didn't really like Nipsey and wanted him gone, with Eric Holder being used to take Nip out. This is something that Nipsey's own brother Black Sam seems to suggest as well during an interview. While he doesn't mention Big U sent Eric Holder, he did state that he believed someone might have sent Eric Holder to take out Nip.
And from my understanding, the boy walked up, no shirt on first, to check the scene because he know what's going on in that parking lot. And had a conversation, probably seen nobody was in the doorways, checked Hussle had on shorts, checked everybody else, left. Came back with a red shirt on, tiptoed through the alley, went right and started shooting. So to me, that's premeditated. Number one, there's no red shirts in the hood. You can't buy no red shirt. No liquor store sell no red shirt. Number two, when through the alley with a red shirt, that's the throw off, or the Bloods did it, or the Inglewood families did it, or the BPS. That's the throw off, red shirt. Was to do a job or somebody sent him and he was nervous.
This all starts to look even more possible when you realize that Big U is now being accused of taking out Rayshawn Williams for a diss song. If he did this to a 21-year-old for a diss track, imagine what he would have done to someone who not only dissed him in records, but also had real-life issues with him. Recently, a woman named Halisha Choice, otherwise known as SKG, did an interview on No Jumper. SKG was signed to Death Row back in the 2000s and has been associated with Suge Knight and Big U. During the No Jumper interview, she was seen talking about Big U, where she accused them of being behind the death of Nipsey Hussle.
What's your perspective on what his involvement could have been with the Nipsey situation? What do you think about that?
He absolutely was involved in Nipsey's situation. And people, they don't want to say it. They're scared to say it. That's fine. I'll say it for you. He was involved with the Nipsey situation and want to let the detectives, because they're supposed to reopen Nipsey's case. That's what I was told.
Oh.
I want to let them do their work. And I just feel like if they do their due diligence, they will find out exactly what they're looking for. But come on now. You think he wasn't? Nipsey died in 2019. And he allegedly did this to Rayshawn in 2021. Felt untouchable.
So when Loose Cannon puts up the version of the story where he got a call from Big U 30 minutes before it happened. Do you see that? And you tend to be like, yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it. Do you remember when Luce was on the show and then I think it was an attorney number posted, a deceased for Luce with the video?
Okay.
I called the attorney and talked to the attorney myself. And the attorney, she told me that Big U just hired her for that cease and desist.
Okay. As you heard for yourself, she believes that Big U could have been behind the situation, pointing to the fact that Big U sent Adam a cease and desist for hosting Loose Cannon on No Jumper, where he alleged that Big U had something to do with Nipsey's death. This is something that Adam 22 confirmed when he admits he was visited by the feds for the No Jumper RICO. The feds requested the Big U cease and desist document, and Adam handed it to them. Adam then suggested that the fact that the feds are requesting this document suggests that they might be investigating Big U for his possible involvement in the death of Nipsey Hussle.
This is the thing that my lawyer comes back to me with. She said the feds were interested in one thing and one thing only. Because in my head, I'm thinking they're going to want copies of the podcasts that Brick or Luce were on. They're going to want to make sure that there wasn't anything in those podcasts that was edited out. Now, anybody who knows me and No Jumper knows that we really don't like to edit things out. So the only stuff we're editing out is if it's like a 4-alarm fire, like, yo, we need to take this out. So I don't think there's ever been something that Break or Luce told us that they needed us to edit out. But the one thing that the feds wanted was the cease and desist from Big U to No Jumper, asking us to take down the episode in which Loose Cannon first made the explosive statements that suggested that Big U had previous knowledge of Nipsey Hussle's death. Now, that situation is very much outside of what was mentioned in the indictment. In the indictment, there's nothing about Nipsey. There's nothing about any of that stuff. So this, to me, is kind of massive because it makes me feel like, oh, the FBI is interested in what Big U's involvement in Nipsey's death might be, which, to me, seems gigantic. I don't know why that cease and desist is not going to help them prosecute Brick Baby or Loose Cannon or anybody else. But the fact that they're interested in that, to me, adds quite a bit of credibility to the argument that perhaps Nipsey Hussle's death was a more complicated situation than it appears to be.
Well, when this
gave it to him,
though, isn't it?
We did hand it over, yeah.
Isn't this when that
I mean, really, like.
So it's safe to say you the feds.
I'm happy to help the feds with talking about a document that we have. I'm happy to help the feds with talking about a document that we have obviously discussed on here over and over, and which doesn't implicate anybody that I know or whatever. It's not like.
While it's still too early to 100% tell if this is true or not, I will say it's highly believable. And seeing what Big U is being charged with the feds claiming they have wiretaps, I believe that this might be the truth. Big U could have been behind the death of Nipsey Hussle. Just like it's being rumored, he could be behind the death of rapper Pnb Rock. On September 12th, Pnb Rock was on the south side of LA with his girlfriend. He and his girlfriend decided to get some food in a local restaurant called Roscoe Chicken and Waffles. While sitting in the restaurant, an armed masked man ran into the store and proceeded to rob Pnb Rock for his jewelry. It's believed Pnb Rock resisted, which led to the robber opening fire, taking him out on the spot. The robber then stripped Pnb of his jewelry before he ran out and disappeared. The world was shocked when they heard the tragedy that another rapper was gunned down over nothing. Thankfully for the family, the people responsible were quickly caught. It turned out to be a father and son duo who were tipped off that Pnb Rock was in the restaurant wearing expensive jewelry. The case was solved and justice was served, but was it? As after the No Jumper indictment, people have been revisiting everything Big U does, trying to see what other evils he has committed. Now people believe Big U could have been involved in the death of Pnb Rock as well. People are pointing to two videos as evidence. One video shows Big U being questioned about the death of Pnb Rock. When Big U goes to respond, he starts talking about checking in immediately, implying that this situation happened because Pnb Rock didn't check in.
Pnb Rock at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. You know, when it come down to that situation and everything like that, what are your thoughts on what happened to PNB?
I mean, it could happen to everybody. Just to be honest with you, I have spoken on that. It's about greed. You mean greed, envy, same thing I did. I mean, I did that. I was on the other side of, I grew up and I lived on the other side of what Pnb Rock was. And we, in our lost mentality, we didn't see that like I see it now as an adult. We in LA. Yeah. When I go to Chicago, I respect Chicago wholeheartedly. I check in. When I go to Atlanta, I check in. When I go places, I check in. And I don't think nobody is safe.
This is awfully suspicious because in the indictment, Big U was being accused of running a check-in scheme, basically extorting celebrities who come to LA, forcing them to pay a fee for protection or get robbed by the rolling 60s if they choose not to. Here we have Big U basically admitting that that's what happened to Pnb Rock, claiming that it was because he didn't check in. The other video that seems to make this video even more suspicious is what Loose Cannon said during this video. According to Loose Cannon, him and Big U were in the chicken spot when Pnb Rock got taken out, claiming that Pnb Rock should have just let his jewelry get stolen and they would have gotten it back for him afterwards.
It's a mistake that everybody makes when it comes down to checking in, is either you checking in to get set up and get robbed, or you checking in to get killed. If you got that, it's just the rules of the streets in LA. It's like people think Beverly Hills is so far away, but the hood is only like 10, 15 minutes away.
Seen it happen to Pop Smoke. Then I seen Pnb Rock.
The crazy part about it is I was at Roscoe's when it happened. He stood on his business, but then it ultimately costed his life. And people don't have to understand the kid was only 17 years old. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just different.
And I seen that, that was his father that put him up to that. That's like...
No, it's not. See...
yeah, explain. I was about to say, is that a common thing out there?
That's a common thing. It's like your big homie be your daddy.
Right.
So they don't even look at it as on like, that's still my son.
Rock got killed in the
Roscoe's.
Yeah.
See, so I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened. So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast and he wasn't cooperating. And that's when they took it off of him by force. You get what I'm saying?
If this is true, this changes everything, and Big U could have been involved in the death of Pnb Rock as well. After seeing this, what he said in the interview, I saw as a warning to other artists that go to LA, check in or pay the price. Considering all that's being released about Big U today, I'm not surprised if he really was behind the death of Pnb Rock and Nipsey Hussle. Big U is a different kind of evil, a man who pretends to be a good man, a community leader. In reality, is the same man terrorizing his community and extorting it. I tend to feel sympathy for young men and teenagers who get tricked into living a criminal lifestyle at a young age, as they most of the time don't know any better and have been manipulated by older criminals and also an engineered gangster culture. But Big U is a 58-year-old man who pretends to be reformed, only to find out that he is the devil himself, burning down his own community and destroying his own people for his gain. If Big U is guilty of all these crimes, he deserves everything that is coming to him. If he truly terrorized so many people, he deserves to be put away. Sadly, Big U is the type of person so many of these young people growing up look up to. They have been taught to idolize the biggest criminals for their evil. Like the Bible tells us in the end of days, evil would be looked at as good and good as evil. This is exactly what is happening. Big U, who is evil, is glorified like a god in LA because of all the evil he has done, while those that push a positive message are looked down upon and seen as losers. If Big U is truly behind the death of Nip and Pnb Rock, their family deserves justice. Hopefully we eventually get the full story. I want to say rest in peace to all the victims of Big U, even those we don't know about. We should pray for all the lost souls that have been abused and consumed by this evil. Well, I'm gonna end this one here. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.